So, welcome everyone. We have a bit of time this evening to look at the path of ease and relaxation. Freedom is intrinsic. Freedom belongs to in the nature that we have always had. That is to say, each of us is sitting in our own place, in our own situation, with the thought, I am me. We have opinions about ourselves, liking or not liking. These opinions and judgments and hopes and fears arise and pass. They're here, and when they're here, they have some impact. They might seem to be true, and then they're gone. We don't have to get rid of these thoughts and feelings and sensations. They go by themselves. They arise by themselves, and they go by themselves. Even if you feel that you are thinking about something in an intentional way, you're waiting for the thought to come. For example, you go to the shops and you're sure, oh, there's something else I have to buy. And then you stand there in the aisle in the shop waiting for this magical thought to arrive. It arrives announcing butter. So, where did that thought come from? We can say it came out of our mind. We put it into our mind before we left for the shops, and somehow it got lost in the mind. Now we pull it out again. It exists as a potential. Is it my potential? If I'm very obsessed with butter and find myself thinking about it all day, I could say, oh, yes, butter is part of my potential. But the butter arises in my mind when I go to the fridge and find, oh, no butter. It arises due to causes and circumstances. Then it goes from the mind. Thoughts, feelings, sensations are like that. They come and they go, sometimes in a very organized, sequential way, and sometimes in a much more random way. If you get stuck with an obsessional thought, you find yourself thinking about something again and again. You might think, oh God, it's the same thought. It keeps coming back again and again. But each time a thought arises, it is just itself. It arises with the particular pattern of your breathing in the moment, with the other thoughts that were there before and after. To say it's the same thought would be to look up the word in a dictionary. The dictionary gives you a definition. Now you know what this word means, but you find that people use it in different ways. Someone might say, oh, I like vodka. Might mean every Sunday evening I have a small vodka just to get ready for the week. Or every day I have my bottle of vodka. Both people like vodka, but the meaning of like is very different. The meaning of I like vodka is revealed in the context, in the environment in which not only are there other thoughts and sensations, but the embodied performance of opening a bottle and drinking and so on. So we have a kind of paradox here. We're using words to define a situation, to try to give a clear, definitive account of our feelings or a situation. And yet, what the words mean depends on the context. So, something which is itself being defined by the time of speaking, the way of speaking, the person to whom you are speaking, is being used to define a situation. Each word doesn't have its own clear, unchanging meaning. And each time it arises in a particular context or particular formation of other factors. So that even if something is being repeated, the patterning in its repetition is altering. So you can examine this for yourself. It's not a matter of belief. It's directly what is available as we talk to different people, even about the same topic. So the factors which seem to define who we are and what are what are the items or the entities in the world around us, these factors are themselves very lacking in substance. Oh, then we have this notion in Dharma of sound and emptiness. If the sound of a word was so completely full of one definite meaning, it would be very difficult to put it into different sentences. It is the plasticity of the words themselves which allow them to take on different resonance and power and linking or non-linking according to how they are spoken in a particular situation. So this is so very, very important for us for the practice of meditation or contemplation. Whenever we find ourselves seemingly imprisoned inside thoughts, definitions, memories, interpretations, this is arising because there is a double movement of experience. The experienced and the experiencer are two pulsations in the flow of what is occurring. The experiencer, the one who seems to be the subject, the knower or the understander of what's going on, has no meaning unless they have something to know and understand. That is to say, it is the quality of the object that fills and shapes the subject. Sometimes the object is a memory and sometimes it's coming from outside. So, as a very simple example, maybe you go to a cafe to have a sandwich. You're sure in your mind as you walk along the road, you want to have a cheese sandwich. While you're waiting in the queue, you read their menu fixed on the wall. And somehow the energy of the desire for cheese starts to fade. Oh, I could have chili chicken. Oh, so out of my mouth, I say, a sandwich with chili chicken, please. I thought I knew what I wanted, but now I want something else. Well, the mind is like this. Our sense of self is very responsive and unfixed. As you become aware of your mind, your, if we say existence, the fact that you are alive, this is a process, this is a movement. The items out of which you formulate yourself, which you give shape to yourself, are moving. You are constructing patterns of movement. And because these movements are unstable and are co-emergent or arising in interdependence, you have to keep working on the maintenance of your sense of self. Our mind is, on one level, very busy. There is a process of engagement in maintaining the patterns which we recognize to be ourselves. If this process of self-formation is too tight and narrow, then we're likely to become bored because we're just always the same. In fact, we're not actually the same because it's a dynamic emergence of something similar, but not exactly the same. For example, at this time, there's a lot of rain in London. So in the morning, I look out the window, it's raining. In the afternoon, I look out, it's raining. Well, what am I talking about? I'm talking about an idea. What do I see? I see drops. Sometimes the drops are too fine or too quick. I can't catch them with my eye, but I see the little rings of water in the puddle on the road. Each drop of rain has its own integrity. Well, I think, oh, it's always fucking raining. It's really annoying. It's always raining. So in that moment, I'm not thinking about the rain, the quality of rain. I'm formulating a limitation of how I am in relation to my concept of the rain. If I was to look at the drops of rain, this is something quite fascinating. From thousands of meters high in the sky, little drops of rain are falling down. And what do? They splish, splish, splish. Wow. But I'm not interested because I don't want the rain. My intention, my desire to go out and walk in the park is limited by the fact that I want to walk when it's dry, not when it's raining. Oh, so I am setting conditions for my happiness. I'm not asking for very much. Unfortunately, the rain doesn't listen to me. The rain is busy raining, and I am busy complaining. So we are both moving together, but not in harmony. This is life. Moment by moment, there is occurrence and occurrence and occurrence. Phenomena, experience in its raw form, in its fresh form, is there. But in order to approach it, I would need to be open without any fixed agenda that would distort my experience. But that might happen quite rarely because I have my personality, my likes and dislikes, my hopes, my desires. And these familiar constituents of myself pre-position me before I encounter this fresh phenomena. So whatever the refreshing qualities of the rain are, they have no interest for me if I want the rain to stop. I'm blind to the potential of the rain because my capacity to open and receive is covered by my desires, my assumptions, my longings. Yet, as we've already been looking, each of these uh, thoughts or feelings or memories or plans arises and vanishes very, very quickly. So the freshness of phenomena themselves and the freshness of my potential, my capacity to be present, are kept apart by a kind of wedge or wall or curtain of thoughts and feelings. So these interpretations from my mind make a mirror-like surface on the world. When I look at the rain, what I actually see is me, because I'm seeing the rain as an obstacle or an interruption to the fulfillment of my desire. Rain as rain is being distorted by my prepositioning. So I have rain for me. And in myself, in my own response, I have me for me. I'm forming myself in relation to how I take the rain to be. I know on one level that walking in the rain can be quite good, quite enjoyable. I've even got shoes that don't leak and let in water, but I'm not in the mood. So this is a kind of opacity, a kind of lack of transparency in which I'm reflected back. The world now just becomes a kind of echo chamber of me. Why is it like this? Because I'm busy being me. I am a human being. I have opinions. I'm entitled to have opinions. My opinions are different from your opinions. This difference allows us to have a conversation. I look out of my eyes and I see what I see. The view from here mediated through my interests and concerns. So I am maintaining the veil or the filter through which I look at the world. This is work. The title for this evening is Take It Easy. But I'm working hard holding myself in place. I don't want to go walking in the rain. Stop asking me to go out in the rain. I've told you I don't want to. So this is how we exist as a person. You can go if you want, I'm not. When we look from the outside and we hear someone talking in this way, we can see, oh, they're trapping themselves in something small. But when we do it to ourselves, it rings true. It seems to be authentic and truthful. This is how I am. Leave me alone. Don't try to change me. But this pattern that I am so committed to doesn't last very long. My disappointment at the rain vanishes when the phone rings and I'm talking to a friend. That is to say, the attention and the belief and the focus of my energetic engagement shifts from the rain to the sounds coming out of the telephone. The varying contents of my mind that are emerging are given their density of importance and value by the quality of attention that is offered to them. And so in the course of a day, like a drunk frog, we jump from lily pad to lily pad, always caught up in one particular position, then another one, and each one seems very real and very important. We are constructing and developing the narrative of ourselves moment by moment. For the practice of Dzogchen, this is an important beginning stage to see that everything is in movement and everything is dynamic, and the seeming density of certain aspects of our experience, the density is generated by our own energetic investment. And the investment of energy is dynamic. So it's a pattern which is generated by the movement of energy. And the intensity of the investment and the rapidity of the investment generates a pseudo fixity, a pseudo endurance of the pattern which is being co-constructed in our mind. So, for a traditional example for this is being out on a dark night with a fire, and you take a stick from the fire and turn it around your head, and it seems to create a ring of fire or a ring of red color. So this depends on the strength of your arm, the length of the stick, the speed at which you turn it around. When these factors collaborate, then you see this circle of fire. It's exactly the same function which operates when I look out the window and think, oh, the rain again, it's spoiling my day. I see the rain as having an inherent quality, something that belongs to it in itself, which is attacking me. It is annoying. That is to say, the interpretation that I have about the meaning and value and quality of the rain, which is a movement of my mind, is identified to me as something which is in the rain. So I am being persecuted by the bad rain that I have made bad. If we can start to recognize this, then we see how we abandon our own mind in projecting the energy and creativity and intensity of my mental life into the rain. I now feel imprisoned by the negative quality of the rain. The rain has the power to give me a horrible day. But this is produced, this is a kind of terrible movie produced by the movement of my own mind. The rain maybe looks very good for the farmer and looks terrible for me. The rain itself is neutral. And its neutrality is an openness or a hospitality that allows opinions and attitudes to get embedded into it. So this is something to observe for ourselves. In the Dharma, it often says mind is the king, or mind is the chief, or mind is the origin of everything. But it's very difficult to recognize this when the energy of the mind is projected into what you take to be fixed objects around you, which are then taken to have inherent value. what I notice with the squirrels in the back garden near where I live is that they're very good at gathering nuts and various little green things, which they dig a hole in the ground and bury. Oh, they are preparing for winter. But in winter, when the ground is hard, you see the squirrels running around and scratching here and scratching there because they are good at scratching, but they are not good at remembering where they hid the nuts. Now, the poor squirrels, they had to work hard to collect these nuts, and now they don't know where they are. We are much luckier because we have Buddha nature. We didn't have to buy our Buddha nature. We didn't find it. We didn't have to gather it and build it up. But we are a bit like the squirrels because we forget where we put where the Buddha nature is. So we go digging and digging and digging. Some people dig a lot in relationships, some people in painting, some people in making money. We are sure there is some hidden gold or something really precious in that activity. But after some time, we don't have the satisfaction we had hoped for. So how do we find the Buddha nature? We do it by taking it easy. It's not lost. It can't be found. We are looking for something which we're not even sure we have a proper description of. We often think that our mind is something inside our body, that it exists as a possession. This is the kind of description you get at school. And if you study medicine, you get a lot of description about the functioning of the brain. And all over the world, there are people using big scanners to carry out experiments on people's brain when they do mathematics or listen to music and so on. Millions and millions and millions of dollars are spent by scientists scratching in this garden. The Buddhas look down and they think, oh, poor squirrel humans. They don't know where it's hidden. This is why in the traditional Dzogchen we have an introduction to the mind. The mind is not a thing. The mind means the capacity to reveal or to show, to illuminate. This illumination is self-arising. It's not made by someone. It's not a thing which actually comes into a concrete existence. If you think of your own life, you had many, many kinds of experience. Sometimes you've been happy, sometimes sad, sometimes healthy, sometimes a bit sick. So many patterns of embodiment and emotion have arisen and passed. Of course, we carry with us the sense, well, but I'm still here. All that happened to me. So who is the me? Who is the one who has this experience? Because in the tradition of the teaching comes from the primordial Buddha. And the Buddha has both wisdom and compassion. If you like, wisdom is knowing how to look, and compassion is knowing where to look. You have to look where the mind is to find the mind. It means looking in the right place and looking in the right way. We know what it's like to make effort to try to see clearly, maybe looking down a microscope, or trying to learn a new language and reading the sentences again and again, so that you can recognize the shape of the words. You are looking for something. And if you look in the right way for finding something, then no doubt you can get something. But from the tradition of Dzogchen coming from Garab Dorji, the mind is not something that can be found by looking. Now, this might sound rather cruel because we think, well, I don't have my mind. Where is this mind? I hear about it all the time, but where is it? If you give me a map, then I'm willing to go on a long journey to find it. Maybe if I go to Mount Kailash, I'll find it there. Maybe if I go to Dewa Chen, to the pure land of Buddha Amitabha, I'll find it there. I've been me for a long time, and I'm pretty sure it's not here. So it must be somewhere else. Just tell me. I can work hard. I'm willing to do a lot to find it. This is why in the Tibetan tradition they have many possibilities of doing things 100,000 times. If you want to work hard, you can work hard. Now there is a slight problem because the mind is not a thing. It has not been created. It is uncompounded. There aren't various ingredients that have been put together to make it. It's self-existing, just here. It arises as itself, but without becoming something. So this is a strange kind of idea, but it's a bit like space. Space is just there. Clouds come and go, airplanes come and go, stars come and go, but the space is just there. It hasn't been put there, and it's there, but it's not striving to stay there because the space indicates nothing. It's an open space. So this is like our mind. Our mind is here, but not as something like space. So how do you know space is here? Every day of your life, you've been walking around in space. You're alive because you have space inside your body. The air comes in your nose and your mouth, and so you breathe. You eat and drink because of the space that's in the throat to take the food and drink into the stomach. So maybe you eat a meal and you say to your friend who cooked it, well, thank you, that was delicious. We don't say, thank you, teeth, for chewing so well this evening. And throat, it's amazing. Day after day, you swallow and you swallow. Thank you. Space is very easy to ignore. We like to think about things, about substance. When you have a thing, then you can identify the qualities of the things, and you employ your adverbs and adjectives to give a rounded picture of what it is. But space is not like that. It's not a thing. So you can't say anything about it. You can't really think anything about it. What's it like? It's just, oh, it's kind of open, it's very big. So the mind also is long young. It's without any boundary or limitation. This is our mind. So the mind is described in this way so that you can refine your way of looking. So you want to see without looking. So if an artist is going to paint a model, the model is maybe sitting in the chair in a particular posture, and they have to maintain that because the artist will look again and again to try to give a real representation of what they see. Now, they look again and again. And of course, what they see changes according to how they look, according to the artist's feeling. Because what the artist is seeing is something revealed to them, mediated through the period in which they're painting, what they learned in art school, what the customers might want to buy, and so on. So we don't want to look in that way. The artist is trying to arrive at some authentic revelation of the potential of the model, that the representation could go even deeper than the phenomena itself. And sometimes looking at a painting gives us fresh eyes to see in a new way. But in Dzogchen, we want to see without looking. This goes against all the education we have had. If you look, then you can see. If you listen, then you will hear. That is to say, that the hearing and the seeing is the fruit or the result of the effort of looking and listening. This is what we're familiar with. But in Dzogchen, the central principle is don't make effort. Effort, activity is always connective and constructive. What is being connected is subject and object. When that pathway of subject and object gets connected, then you have the production of a narrative interpretation of what is occurring. And as we looked before in terms of the rain, what you see is what you imagine. You see your own mind reflected. So don't think about your mind. Don't try to learn about your mind and build up some big intellectual knowledge. Oh, how can I see without looking? Well, this is something that's not very difficult to do. At first, it's probably best to do it outside, especially in the country, where there's some space, maybe a field or the side of a hill. You can just stand there, close your eyes, relax into the out breath, and then quickly open your eyes. All this undifferentiated. There is no discrimination occurring. Or, if you think that that tree is more beautiful than that tree, first of all, you have to have trees. When you're looking at the trees, the grass becomes less apparent to you. You've already started to cut up this integral field, all phenomena together, all the forms of light together. You've started to divide them into objects. This is your mind at work. Relax. All you have to do is to receive. If you put your hands out together, you can receive quite a small thing, maybe one big apple. If you open your arms, you feel like you're embracing the whole scenery. When your arms are open, you're not grasping anything. In the same way, when the mind is relaxed and open, it's simply receiving without prejudice, without bias, without desire, without judgment. What is in front of you? This. In that moment when your eyes open, this. Then your mind, that is to say, your habitual mental activity, is activated in order to make sense of what you see. You're working out what it is that you see so that you can tell yourself what you are seeing. Oh, that must be an oak tree. So now I see an oak tree. I see what I know. Now I have something to look at. Wow, it must be maybe 100 years old. And looks like the cows come and rub their skin against the bark of the tree. So now that you are looking and you are finding, you can build up more and more stories. How amazingly intelligent we are. We say you can, when you look in that way and you notice all these details, you have a very sharp eye. Your eye is so sharp, you stab yourself in the eye and blind yourself. Now you are blind, but you are imagining, oh, that's a very old oak tree. When I was a child, I used to climb in an oak tree like that. You don't see anymore. Only imagining, only telling stories. And the key point here is to see, oh, this is activity. I am making myself stupid with my own intelligence because I'm creating a screen, a veil of concepts and ideas which are making it difficult to have direct access to the light of revelation. So this is something you can investigate for yourself. Look at something quite simple like a lemon or a rose, and then start to tell yourself about the rose or the lemon. How many things you have to say. The color, the shape, what you could use it for in salads or cooking and so on. This is your mind working. Now, what is there if you don't look? So you look at the lemon and relax into the out breath. Breathe out your associations. Breathe out your interpretations. Let these mental formations dissolve like the morning mist when the sun rises. You want to see the lemon without yourself. Pure lemon, only lemon. In Dzogchen, this is called Daknang, means like pure appearance. I want to see the world without me. I want to see the world before I was born. I don't want to see the world mediated through me. So we want to open to what is there and open ourselves. This is called looking sky to sky. When you look into the open sky, there is nothing for the mind to hold on to. Some of you will have done this practice on a clear day when there are not many clouds in the sky. You sit, if possible, on a hillside with the sun behind you and let your gaze open out into the sky. There's nothing for you to do except open to this infinite openness. If you do this for some time, you find you have no thoughts, no feelings, no memories, only open, open, open. Because there's not very much you can say about the sky. It doesn't have hooks to hang your thoughts on. So you can apply the same thing to the lemon. You relax your gaze so that you're not looking at the lemon, you're just seeing. Now the lemon dissolves into yellow. Now yellow dissolves as light. It's only light. And this yellow light is sitting, there's a plate which is now white light. And in the background, there is the red light of the cover of a book. Then, as you're sitting, the thought book arises. The red book is a book about, I don't know, cooking, driving a car, something. You recognize what the book is, and it becomes a hook for your mental activity. The same now, the yellow is separating off from the white and the red. Oh, it's lemon. And a thought arises, oh, my throat's a little bad. I can make some hot lemon with honey. And now the thoughts are and the perceptions are moving together, and pattern after pattern of interpretation is arising. And you're back in your familiar world. Your world is moving of shadows across this field of illumination. And if you think fast enough, the whole world is only shadows. Now you are looking and identifying and judging and planning. This is a lot of activity. Is it necessary? What have you added to the lemon by knowing it's a lemon? The lemon was sitting on the plate, very peaceful, not causing trouble for anyone. Now your thoughts are moving it this way and that way with all kind of big ideas. So the heart of the practice is to release the habitual intensity of mental fabrication. So the key practice in Dzogchen is Guru Yoga. Guru means the presence of the Buddha. Buddha has these three aspects, the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Yamanakaya. When we when we visualize the white ah with the rainbow light around it and then recite ah 3 times, we are revealing the Buddha in front of us. You are present, simply present, just open. Who are you? Oh, you need an idea or a thought to tell you who you are. Any thought will do to start the process. Could be I am a man, or I am a woman, I am English, or I am Polish, anything. I am British. What does that mean? Could be anything. Could be anything. Maybe I have a passport. That's about all. You need to say more about what it means to be British and so on and so forth. If we don't speak, if we don't think, there is just presence. This presence is not just a big empty space, because this the word presence I'm using is for rigpa. A rigpa means awareness. It means not knowing something, but illumination. So in that sense, it is I. I is very open. I has no content. You need to add something to give it a content. I am Scottish. I am hungry. I am tired. I am excited. I is undeniable because for each of us, now sitting wherever you are, I. So when you relax into the three are, it's only I. Don't add am. It's just I. I is the open potential. It has no content of its own, so it's empty like the mirror. But like the mirror, it also can show many different reflections. I am thirsty. This is a reflection. Now, when you look in a mirror and you see the reflection, it is as if the reflection is what is there. That's the top of the mirror. You see that face or just the room which is illuminated in the mirror. Oh, that. It is as if the mirror and the reflection were one. But something moves and a new reflection arises in the mirror. So it's the same. I'm thirsty. And then I take a drink and I don't feel so thirsty. Then I'm tired. Then I sense I'm sitting. Then I look at my watch, 30 minutes more. Oh my God, that's a long time. What am I going to do? In that way, I am, I am, I am. In the moment that this experience was there, it is as if it is the truth about me, but then it vanishes. So open, empty, this is like the mirror, the empty mirror, like I. Then you have a sense of the showing or the presence of that, which is almost like the am. Am is a kind of, I was an open potential, and am is a kind of formative potential. It's a potential which is moving in the direction of expression. And that potential flowers in the expression of I am hungry or I'm ready to go for a walk, whatever it would be. If you go for a walk, what is happening? There are feet going up and down. Through your senses, you have a sense of the street, and maybe if it's the evening, the street lights and shadows and so on. Moment by moment by moment, there is a revelation of your embodiment moving in the colors and shapes that are around you. Only process, only movement. If you tell someone about, oh, I went for a walk, ideas. Talking about going for a walk, telling them about going for a walk is not the same as the walk. You offer them empty words. And for yourself, while you were walking, it was ungraspable experience. You see the street light shining on a puddle where a car was, and some petrol has come into the water, and you get these colors rippling on the surface. Of course, I'm having to describe this in language. I'm talking about something as an example. But if you're actually there with the light shimmering on this water, whatever you say to describe it will be a lie. This moment, this is ungraspable. Say, oh, look at the colors left by the petrol. This is a commentary, an interpretation, a narrative. The immediacy of this is a concern of Dzogchen. It's not that the interpretation is bad, but language is a little bit like heroin. Very often when people start to use it, they think they are speaking the language. You think you're deciding you're going to inject a little bit of heroin. You're in charge of the heroin. But after a while, the heroin is in charge of you. So in the same way, you think you're speaking the language, but the language is speaking you. The language is expressing itself through you. Oh, my words are not my words. If my words were just my words, you wouldn't understand them. My words are English words. I'm like a juggler. moving the words of English around in different patterns. What is established? A need for more. Children understand this very, very well. At night, when they go to bed, you read them a story and they say, oh, one more. One story is never enough because stories lead to stories, lead to stories. And now I have the story of staying up late listening to stories, which is a special story. So this is why in the practice, we spend a lot of time at first just to relax in the open mind. Space, emptiness, openness. This is the facilitative field within which movement moves. The space of my mind is the medium, though it's not a thing in any way, it's the medium through which my thoughts, memories, occurrences come and go. But of course, when the thoughts start moving, we forget the space. So in Dzogchen, we talk about primordial purity, which means that the indestructible Vajra nature of open awareness cannot be contaminated or covered or spoiled by anything which occurs. So this is the basis of our fearlessness. Whatever comes, comes. Whatever goes, goes. Only passing. Movement is moving in space. The movement of the wind moves the clouds, but it doesn't move the space. The space is untouchable, and yet it's not held apart somewhere else. It is non-dual, not one, not two, but neither one nor two. When you look in the mirror, there is the reflection. You can't take the reflection out of the mirror. They are not two different things. Yet you can't say that the reflection is the mirror. They are not just one thing. In the same way, your mind is like the sky, and it's full of experiences. Some experience looks like subject, some experience looks like object, moving and shifting like the waves on the sea. This movement causes no harm. This movement brings no gain. This is the basis for freedom from hopes and fears. The instruction for meditation is always don't push anything which occurs away and don't merge into anything which occurs. Space is not made more beautiful by clouds or by rainbows. These are transitory, ungraspable illusions. In the same way, in your mind, since you woke up today, thousands and thousands of experiences have occurred. Some of these experiences seem to be outside your body. Cars, houses, peoples, cats. Some appear to be inside your body, sensations, maybe pains, or the weight of your head. There is no real difference between what we take to be outside and inside. In this moment, I'm aware that my fingers are like this. I don't know why, but they're just like this for the moment. And I'm aware that my watch is on the table beside me. No, my fingers feel more like me than the watch. I can feel my fingers from the inside, and I can look at them from the outside. So my fingers feel like subject because I feel the sensation in my fingertips, and they look like object because I can turn them around and look at my fingers. So this is very important that subject and object are not two completely separate categories. They move together like the wings of a bird. The flow of experience is ceaseless, moving through the open space of the mind, coming and going, coming and going. I don't need to get involved. I can get involved, but I don't need to get involved. This is our intrinsic freedom. This is the freedom which is embedded in the mind as it already is. It's not something you have to create or make by yourself. So the more we sit with the practice and we see thoughts, feelings, sensations, noises outside, a draft blowing into the room, all kind of experiences come and go, come and go. Do I need to be involved? This brings us to the central point. Who am I? I, open eye, pure awareness, doesn't need anything. I, here, in the room, part of the room, the field of experience. In this field of experience, there is something which kind of hooks me or connects me, and I find myself wanting to do something. So there is a manifestation of the energy of connectivity. In the language of Dzogchen, this is called compassion. Generally speaking, in life, compassion means that we connect with someone who has a need, to give them something that would be good and maybe to take away something that would be difficult. But on one level, the deepest form of compassion is simply connectivity. If somebody is lying in bed and dying, they're dying. There's nothing to be done. Sometimes people send me emails saying, oh, my father is dying. What should I do? Well, you can visualize Zangdo Palri and invite Padmasambhava to come and help your father. This gives the person something to do. Why should they do something? Because they're anxious and their dad is dying. Does the dad need to go to Zangdo Palri? No, he'd rather go to Krakow. What will he do in Zangdo Palri? He doesn't know anyone there. His child is the Buddhist. He's not the Buddhist. We should leave these deathbed conversions to the Christians. He's dying. What does he need? For you to be there. How will I be there? What should I do? Don't do anything. Just be there. How do we do that? That's what our meditation is. We're just sitting, open. We don't have any agenda. We're not trying to make something happen. It is as it is. Very simple. The life energy is vanishing from this person as they die. There is nothing to be done. It's not a tragedy. But in order to be quiet and open and available in this profound compassion, you need to know how not to be active. The basis of the ego identity, which we all have, is a patterning of movements and activities whereby we select and fabricate different formations. The ego is movement. You don't need to destroy the ego. It's an illusion. The thing to do with the ego is to allow the energy formation of the ego to dissolve, and it will reform again. It just dissolves up and reforms. So when you sit in your meditation practice and thoughts come together into a pattern, and you're no longer in the open meditation, you're in some distractive daydream, you have slipped from the unborn awareness into the born or creative ego formation. But the ego is a work in progress. It's never fully formed, never finished. Which is why we say in the meditation, if you get distracted, don't worry, don't be embarrassed or think you've made a mistake. Allow whatever occurs to occur. Sometimes when you sit to practice, very heavy and dull feeling, then you give space for heavy and dull. Sometimes you may be anxious or excited. That's what's there. If you don't try to change what is arising, you will get the blessing of the arising. This is the blessing that as the arising vanishes by itself, it shows you, I was empty. But if you have reacted to that thought or memory or feeling and wanted to hold on to it or get rid of it, it would show you, I am strong, I am here, I am something. That is to say, the delusion of the seeming real substantial essence to phenomena is created out of slippage from relaxed open awareness so that the energy of participation loses its ground for dissolving. So in a summer's day, you get a big white cloud arising, and then you see it changing shape and it starts to vanish. But at the moment in London, the sky can be completely gray all day long. When it's just gray, you forget that there is open blue space. This seemingly permanent gray covering of the world is only there because of space. If there was no space, the cloud couldn't show. The cloud is inseparable from space. But when you look at the gray cloud, you think, oh, where is the sky? Where is the space? The cloud is non-dual with space. You don't need to get rid of the cloud to see the space. If you allow the space to show itself, it's showing as cloud. In the same way, when you sit in the meditation, the open, spacious brilliance of awareness is showing itself as thoughts, feelings, memories, depressions, worries, and so on. That's why the instruction is always don't enter into judgment. Don't make what is arising good or bad. However it is, be open and it will go. So this is why the basic mood is just to take it easy. There is no need for effort. There is no need to go anywhere else. You don't need to get a better mind. You don't need to develop the contents of your mind. From the very beginning, all experience is the radiance of awareness. So this is why it's very important just to sit and relax and be with your mind. Let your mind show you how you are. If you tell yourself who you are, if you try to solve the problem of existence, you will just get more lost. Okay, so now we have come to the end of our time together this evening. This kind of examination is quite dense, but we have the recordings and they will be made available and you can listen again. This is not an introduction to Dzogchen theory, but an invitation to relax and see how it is. It already is as it is. So how is it? That's not a conceptual question. That is answered by seeing how it is and being how it is. So thank you to our organizers and to the various people who've been translating. And I hope this is some use to you. And we have another meeting with Polish in the beginning of December on the 9th. So I hope you enjoy your practice and the rest of your evening. Bye for now.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
James.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, James. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
James.
you.
Thank
Bye.
James.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you very, very
Bye.
much.
Bye for everybody.
Bye.